The Galactic Empire had ruled the stars for centuries, its dominion unquestioned and its strength unmatched. They spanned countless systems, enslaving weaker civilizations and absorbing resources with ruthless efficiency. Their technology was leagues beyond anything most species could fathom. To the Empire, humanity was just another fledgling race, a stubborn, primitive species that had only recently begun exploring the edges of their solar system. When the Empire encountered humans, they saw no reason to fear. Compared to their vast fleets and advanced weapons, Earth was barely a speck. The Empire's leaders mocked the idea of humans being a threat, calling them reckless animals clinging to outdated notions of defiance. In a remote sector, the Empire detected a small human reconnaissance ship skirting dangerously close to one of their military installations. It was a scout vessel, lightly armed and vulnerable. The decision was swift: capture and interrogate the pilot. They wanted to understand what humanity hoped to achieve by stepping into territory far beyond their grasp. The operation was flawless. A dozen Empire vessels surrounded the lone human ship, their energy beams disabling its systems in seconds. The pilot had no chance to escape. When the Empire soldiers stormed aboard, they found the human standing calmly, his face devoid of fear. He didn't resist as they restrained him with reinforced alloy bindings, ensuring his arms and legs were immobilized. The soldiers chuckled among themselves at how easy it had been. "This is what they send to spy on us," one of them sneered. "Pathetic." The man didn't respond. He let them drag him to their shuttle, his gaze steady and unyielding. The prisoner transport was unlike anything a human had ever seen. The interior gleamed with dark metals and pulsing energy conduits, every inch a testament to the Empire's technological superiority. The guards accompanying him were encased in sleek, powered armor, each carrying rifles capable of disintegrating matter in a single shot. The pilot sat silently, his arms bound behind him, as they traveled to a nearby Empire fortress. The fortress itself was a monolithic structure carved into the surface of a barren moon. It loomed against the backdrop of distant stars, its spires bristling with weaponry and shield generators. The human was marched through corridors lined with glowing panels, his boots echoing against the metallic floors. The alien guards watched him with cold disdain, their helmeted faces betraying no emotion. One of the higher-ranking officers paused to examine the prisoner. The officer, a tall, thin alien with a translucent, blue-tinted skull, leaned close to the human. "What is it you think you'll accomplish by coming here? Your kind should know its place." Still, the pilot said nothing. His silence was unnerving, even to beings who had conquered entire worlds. The interrogation chamber was designed to intimidate. Circular in shape, with bright white lights illuminating its sterile walls, the room was devoid of anything unnecessary. The human was placed in the center, bound to a metal chair that adjusted automatically to hold his body securely. The chair was equipped with neural probes, energy restraints, and other devices meant to extract information. The Empire's interrogators prided themselves on their efficiency. Their methods were precise, their technology capable of bypassing even the strongest mental defenses. They assumed this session would be over quickly. After all, how much resistance could a human offer? As the neural probes activated, the interrogator began speaking. "You'll tell us everything. Your mission, your leaders, your plans. Resisting will only prolong the inevitable." But the human pilot's face remained expressionless. He didn't flinch as the probes attempted to dig into his mind. The interrogator increased the intensity, frustrated by the lack of results. "What is the meaning of this?" the interrogator muttered, adjusting the controls. "Why isn't it working?" The human finally spoke, his voice calm and low. "You rely too much on your machines." The room fell silent. The interrogator's hands froze over the controls, caught off guard by the unexpected response. The alien guards exchanged glances, their grip tightening on their weapons. "Humans are stubborn," the prisoner continued. "You think this is the first time we've faced something like you? Your arrogance blinds you." The interrogator sneered, leaning closer. "You are alone, surrounded by forces you cannot comprehend. Defiance will only lead to your suffering." The human tilted his head slightly. "We'll see." Despite the interrogator's best efforts, the session yielded no results. Hours passed, and the human's resistance remained unbroken. Frustrated, the Empire's officers decided to transfer him to a holding cell while they regrouped and devised a new strategy. As the guards escorted him down the fortress's corridors, a faint flicker of power rippled through the facility. It was a momentary glitch, barely noticeable, but the human's eyes caught it. He said nothing, his expression giving away nothing as he allowed himself to be led deeper into the base. For now, he was content to wait. The holding cell was a stark cube of cold metal, bathed in an eerie blue light from the energy field securing its entrance. Inside, the human sat on the floor, his back against the wall, arms still bound. The guards stationed outside barely acknowledged him, confident their prisoner posed no threat. After all, no one had ever escaped from an Imperial detention cell. Time passed in silence, the hum of alien machinery the only sound. The human watched, his sharp eyes studying every detail, the way the energy field flickered at specific intervals, the placement of cameras in the corners, the subtle pauses in the guards' patrol patterns. He had no tools, no weapons, only his mind and instincts. That was enough. The Empire's officers reconvened, frustrated by the interrogation's failure. "Humans," one of them spat, pacing in agitation. "They're nothing but stubborn animals. Increase the neural probe intensity next time. Break his mind if you must." In the cell, the flicker of power from earlier returned, this time more pronounced. The lights dimmed briefly, and the human's restraints emitted a faint crackle. He shifted his wrists, feeling the bindings weaken slightly. A plan began to form in his mind. The next shift change brought a lone guard into the corridor. The energy field shimmered as the guard deactivated it to deliver rations. The human moved with startling precision, lunging forward with his bound arms. He struck the guard's helmet hard, disorienting them, then delivered a swift kick to the side of their head, knocking them unconscious. He worked quickly, using the guard's utility tool to sever his restraints. Freed, he examined their equipment: a standard-issue pulse rifle, a communicator, and an access card. Taking only what was necessary, he moved silently out of the cell. The base was vast, a labyrinth of corridors and chambers. The human navigated it with caution, relying on his earlier observations to avoid patrols. He stayed in the shadows, moving like a predator stalking its prey. When a group of guards passed, he slipped behind them, blending into blind spots in their formation. Reaching a terminal, he accessed the Empire systems using the stolen access card. The interface was alien, filled with symbols and codes, but he deciphered enough to disable nearby cameras and open a maintenance hatch leading to the lower levels. The lower levels were darker, less monitored, filled with conduits and machinery. Here, he found his first opportunity to fight back. Using the tools he had scavenged, he began tampering with the facility's systems, overloading circuits and disrupting power flows. He planted improvised traps in key corridors, knowing the Empire soldiers would soon hunt for him. The alarms blared moments later, echoing through the fortress. The guards mobilized quickly, squads of armored soldiers sweeping the area. But the human was always one step ahead. He lured them into choke points where his traps detonated, disabling them with bursts of energy or collapsing the structure around them. In a dimly lit corridor, he faced his first direct confrontation. A squad of 3 guards cornered him, their rifles aimed. Without hesitation, he charged forward, using the pulse rifle he had taken earlier. His shots were precise, striking weak points in their armor. When one guard attempted to flank him, he disarmed them with a brutal strike, then used their own weapon against them. The human's movements were efficient, almost mechanical. He wasted no energy, no motion, every action calculated for maximum effect. To the Empire soldiers, he was a phantom, appearing and vanishing before they could react. As the base descended into chaos, the human's actions became more deliberate. He sabotaged energy nodes, causing sections of the fortress to lose power. He accessed terminals to reroute security drones, turning them against their former masters. Each step he took was methodical, designed to dismantle the Empire's control piece by piece. The officers grew increasingly desperate. Seal the exits. Flood the lower levels with troops. One barked, but their commands were met with resistance. The human had disrupted their communication network, leaving them scrambling to coordinate. In the darkness of the lower levels, the human paused to catch his breath. He had no illusions about his chances. This wasn't about survival, it was about sending a message. He knew that every step he took, every guard he incapacitated, was a blow to the Empire's arrogance. They thought him weak. They thought humanity weak. He would prove them wrong. The alarms grew louder, echoing through the fortress as reinforcements poured in. The Empire wasn't taking chances anymore. Squads of heavily armed soldiers coordinated their movements, scanning every corridor and chamber with precision. Drones hovered above, casting eerie lights in the darkness, their sensors calibrated to detect the slightest movement. The human, however, remained unseen, blending into the chaos he had orchestrated. He moved with purpose, bypassing areas that were heavily patrolled, navigating toward the heart of the base. Every step was calculated, every detour intentional. As he approached the central command hub, the resistance thickened. Automated turrets lined the corridors, scanning for intruders, while squads of elite guards secured choke points. The human paused, studying their formations and the turret rotations, his mind working faster than any machine. He waited for the perfect moment, then acted. Using the rifle he'd taken earlier, he fired a precise shot into a power conduit, causing an explosion that drew the guards' attention. As they scrambled to assess the damage, he moved swiftly, darting past the turrets during their brief resets. Reaching the control terminal, he accessed the systems, using the access card he'd taken from the guard. The interface was complex, filled with layers of encryption, but the human had anticipated this. He didn't need full control, he only needed to cause enough disruption. His fingers moved quickly, disabling sections of the security grid and rerouting power to overload critical systems. The lights flickered, and the hum of machinery grew erratic as his sabotage took effect. The Empire's officers, monitoring the situation from the command center, were in disarray. "How is this possible?" one demanded. "He's just one human." Their systems were failing one by one, and the human's movements were unpredictable. They had underestimated him, and now they were paying the price. As the guards closed in, the human prepared for another confrontation. He knew they were expecting him to be cornered, to fight like a trapped animal. Instead, he used their expectations against them. He lured a squad into a narrow corridor where he had placed an improvised explosive using components scavenged from the maintenance levels. The detonation was precise, incapacitating the soldiers without destroying the corridor. With their numbers dwindling and their morale shaken, the Empire's forces began to falter. The humans seized the opportunity, pressing deeper into the facility. He encountered another squad, their weapons trained on him, but his reflexes were faster. He dropped low, firing controlled bursts that struck their weapons and armor joints. When one lunged at him, he sidestepped, using their momentum to throw them into another guard. The fight was brutal, and the human showed no hesitation. Every movement was a testament to his training, his adaptability, and his refusal to be subdued. He didn't just fight to survive, he fought to dominate, to show the Empire what humanity was capable of. Reaching another terminal, he accessed the base's communication systems. Here, he found the information he had suspected. The Empire was planning a full-scale invasion of Earth. The realization hit him like a blow, but it also fueled his determination. He downloaded the data onto a small device, ensuring it would reach his people. As he prepared to leave, a new threat emerged. The Empire's command had deployed a specialized unit, their armor thicker, their weapons deadlier. These were not ordinary soldiers. They were enforcers, designed to handle the most dangerous adversaries. The human knew he couldn't face them head-on. Using the knowledge he'd gathered about the base, he set traps in the corridors, forcing the enforcers to move cautiously. He led them into a section where he had rerouted power to overload the conduits. As they advanced, the conduits erupted in a cascade of energy, disorienting them long enough for the human to strike. He moved with relentless efficiency, targeting weak points in their armor. The fight was fierce, and he sustained injuries, but he refused to slow down. Each victory was a message. Humanity would not bow, no matter the odds. With the enforcers neutralized, the human turned his attention to the final phase of his plan. The fortress was in disarray, its systems on the brink of collapse. He knew he had done enough damage to cripple their operations, but he wasn't finished. This was more than a mission, it was a statement. He set the final overload, ensuring the base's reactor would destabilize. The Empire's soldiers scrambled to stop him, but it was too late. As the alarms reached a deafening crescendo, the human disappeared into the shadows, leaving the fortress to implode behind him. The base was crumbling, and chaos reigned. Explosions rippled through the structure as the reactor destabilized, sending waves of panic through the remaining Imperial forces. Soldiers barked frantic orders, trying to evacuate while containment shields faltered. The fortress, once a symbol of the Empire's invincibility, was now a collapsing tomb. Amid the destruction, the human moved with unrelenting focus. The stolen communicator buzzed with fragmented transmissions from the Empire's command. All units retreat. Secure the outer perimeter. The humans smirked faintly. They still thought they could recover from this. They were wrong. Emerging onto a loading bay filled with retreating soldiers and transports, he remained undetected amidst the confusion. He spotted a small vessel, one of the Empire's sleek reconnaissance shuttles, being prepared for departure. Its systems were advanced, but he had already studied their designs during his infiltration. It was exactly what he needed to escape and deliver the stolen data to humanity. He stayed low, weaving through the chaos as soldiers rushed past, too distracted by the crumbling facility to notice him. He approached the shuttle, neutralizing the few guards stationed nearby with quick, silent strikes. They didn't even have time to react before he boarded the vessel. Inside the cockpit, he worked quickly. The controls were alien, but he had seen enough during his time in the base to understand the basics. He bypassed the security protocols, overriding the system with the access card and codes he'd acquired. The engines roared to life, drawing attention from nearby soldiers, but it was too late. The shuttle lifted off, breaking free from the bay just as an explosion tore through the area. As he soared into the void, the full scope of his actions became clear. Below him, the fortress was collapsing in on itself, the reactor's overload causing chain reactions that rippled through the moon's surface. Fire and debris erupted into space, and the once mighty structure disintegrated into nothingness. The Empire's fleet, positioned in orbit, scrambled to respond. Fighters and cruisers adjusted their formations, trying to track the rogue shuttle. The human knew they wouldn't let him escape without a fight. He activated the shuttle's stealth systems, evading initial scans, but the Empire's technology was relentless. Soon, alarms blared as a squadron of fighters locked onto his position. He gripped the controls tightly, maneuvering through the debris field surrounding the destroyed base. The fighters pursued, their weapons lighting up the darkness with deadly precision. The human pushed the shuttle to its limits, executing sharp turns and evasive maneuvers that left the Imperial pilots struggling to keep up. A warning light flashed on the console, indicating a missile lock. He acted instantly, deploying countermeasures that sent bursts of energy flares spiraling behind him. The missile veered off course, detonating harmlessly in the distance. But the fighters were relentless, and the shuttle wasn't built for prolonged combat. Thinking quickly, he guided the vessel toward a nearby asteroid field. The dense cluster of rocks offered cover, but navigating it would require absolute precision. The Empire's pilots hesitated, unwilling to risk their own lives in such treacherous terrain. The human, however, had no such reservations. He weaved through the asteroids with incredible skill, using the shuttle's agility to his advantage. The fighters that dared to follow were caught off guard by his unpredictability. One clipped an asteroid, spinning out of control before exploding. Another lost its target lock in the chaos, allowing the human to slip further away. By the time he emerged from the asteroid field, only 2 fighters remained in pursuit. The human activated the shuttle's remaining weapon systems, limited but effective. With precise timing, he fired at a nearby asteroid, shattering it into a spray of debris. The fragments struck the pursuing fighters, disabling one and forcing the other to retreat. The shuttle's console beeped, signaling that he was clear of immediate threats. For the first time since his capture, he allowed himself a moment to breathe. The data he carried was secure, and his mission wasn't over yet. The information he had stolen was more than just plans. It was proof that humanity could fight back. He set a course for the outer systems, where he knew resistance cells were gathering. Humanity might not have the technology or resources of the Empire, but they had something far more valuable: the will to fight. The humans' actions had proven that even a single individual could challenge the might of the Empire and win. As the shuttle disappeared into the vast expanse of space, the Empire's forces regrouped, their humiliation complete. The loss of the fortress was a blow they hadn't anticipated, and the escape of the human was a stain on their pride. But more than that, it was a warning. Humanity wasn't just another species to be conquered. They were survivors, fighters, and innovators. The human stared out the cockpit window, his expression calm but determined. The battle was far from over, but this was just the beginning. The Empire had underestimated humanity, and now they would pay the price. He tightened his grip on the controls, his mind already focused on the next move. For the first time, the Empire had something to fear.